2 words, Revo Fitness. Here's a few more. Simple, 24/7, reformer Pilates, body scanners, massage chairs, squat racks, free weights, pin and plate loaded equipment, no lock-in contracts, no bullshit. All of that and more from just $9.69 a week. That's surprisingly affordable. Join now at Revo Fitness Shenton Park or download the Revo Fitness app. revofitness.com.au or find the Revo Fitness app in the App Store.
Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business News Afternoon Report for Monday the 17th of February 2025. I'm Sean Elmer. Every afternoon we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Story number 1, the S&P ASX 200 closed down just a touch today to finish at 8,537 points. It dropped earlier in the morning, then sort of spent most of the session climbing higher. Utilities and consumer staples did best, while financials and energy stocks lagged. Gold stocks, which have been the best in the market for most of this year, were sold off as the price of the precious metal fell. Gold's back down to about $2,900 an ounce. In corporate news, Lendlease's share price rose after it announced its half-year profit. The group is in the midst of a strategy overhaul, shifting away from global operations. Woodside Energy's share price fell 3% after the oil and gas producer issued guidance for costs and tax expenses for the 2024 year, which suggests the final dividend, which will be announced in about a week's time, might just disappoint. And a quick mention of the Aussie dollar, up to 63.6 US cents. Story number 2, one company that hasn't had a good time of it recently is Aurizon. It's a haulage business that shifts coal, grain and other commodities around Queensland, South Australia and the Northern Territory. It also owns the rail lines. It announced a disappointing earnings result today and downgraded its full-year forecast, sending its share price lower. In fact, it hit an all-time low. Basically, this is a company that needs a kickstart. It's been talking about separating the train line business and the haulage business for a long time. Most similar organisations actually do one or the other, but not both. But because it used to be Queensland Rail, it does both. What I thought was an interesting fact of the day from this story, shipping line A&L brings in about 100 containers every 10 days. That's 10 a day on average, and they're sent on Aurizon trains to South Australia. 10 containers every day. That's a lot of stuff. Story number 3, a majority of voters don't believe the federal Labor government deserves to be re-elected, with Anthony Albanese's approval rating hitting a record low of -21. But voters remain reluctant to swing behind Peter Dutton, in sufficient numbers at least, for the coalition to win a majority government, as MPs prepare for a federal election to be called potentially within weeks. An exclusive news poll conducted for The Australian shows the coalition maintaining a 51 to 49% two-party preferred lead over Labor, despite a 1-point fall in its primary vote to 38%. Labor's primary vote remains stuck on an equal record low of 31%. The two-party preferred result indicates a 3.1% swing against Labor since the last election. On a uniform basis and taking into account new margins created by electoral redistributions, the swing would be the equivalent to the loss of 7 or 8 seats. Now, that's enough to prevent Mr Albanese forming a majority government. However, not enough for the coalition to win power. Story number 4, plenty going on at Star Entertainment. The AFR is reporting that publican Bruce Matheson wants to buy the group's Gold Coast property, or at least he did last year, for about $550 million. I reckon they'd take that now. The market cap of the company is only $373 million. Also, Oak Tree Capital Management, which is a specialist in distressed debt situations, is interested in refinancing the company's loans. There's also offers from a Hong Kong group for Queen's Wharf in Brisbane. That apparently isn't being considered. Meanwhile, Star's former chief casino officer, Greg Hawkins, has agreed to settle with the corporate regulator over his misconduct in dealing with a large Macau junket operator. Bottom line in all this company is very, very close to voluntary administration. If the Oak Tree deal doesn't come off, some investors think it will end up in voluntary administration. And story number 5, European countries are coalescing over the United States' attitude to Russia and Ukraine, with the bloc's president saying the EU must be involved in negotiations about the end of the war. EU President Antonio Costa and other senior European leaders are meeting in Paris this week to discuss their response to US President Donald Trump's decision to begin talks to end the almost 3-year war with Russia's Vladimir Putin. The Paris talks come as the US and Russia's top diplomats prepare for face-to-face talks in Saudi Arabia, and we'll focus on how to respond to the fast-moving negotiations and Trump's demand for Europe to reduce its reliance on US military support. That's it for the afternoon report for Monday, the 17th of February, 2025. Make sure you hit follow on the podcast. We'll be back tomorrow morning with the Tuesday edition of the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.
2 words, Revo Fitness. Here's a few more. Simple, 24/7, reformer Pilates, body scanners, massage chairs, squat racks, free weights, pin and plate loaded equipment, no lock-in contracts, no bullshit. All of that and more from just $9.69 a week. That's surprisingly affordable. Join now at Revo Fitness Shenton Park or download the Revo Fitness app. RevoFitness.com.au or find the Revo Fitness app in the App Store.